but this is the most tolerant, incredible, wonderful, freedom-oriented society on earth. And those who say otherwise, we need to push back hard against them and make sure that their voices are not the loudest voices. You know, I was interviewing a guy a little while ago, and he says, be different or be dead in business. Be different or be dead. And I'm making under $250,000 a year. You know what I do for them, Alan? You'd say, no, what? I'd say I add a 0 to 2 to their income. And I show them how to do that while working 10 to 20 hours less per week. Guess what? If we do that, I have an opportunity to serve you.
Yes.
Other people would say, you got an opportunity to sell them. No. I have an opportunity to serve you. Successful people gather all the facts, and then they go to yes or no immediately. They don't think about it. They don't ask if they could have time to get back to you, to have a seance with their dead ancestors. They don't do any of that. They gather the facts and they say yes or they say no.
Welcome everyone to the Revolutionary Man podcast. I'm the founder of The Awakened Man and your host, Alan DeMonso. You've probably heard of the term thought leader, right? Generally, these are individuals who have reached a level of problem solving that is head and shoulders above the rest. You know, think of Steve Jobs and how he re-imaged the digital marketplace. Now, maybe you're not going to reach lofty goals as Steve did, but that doesn't mean you cannot become a thought leader in your own niche. So how do we do that? And why should we even care? Well, today, my guest shares his story and program that has been what many have been calling him the millionaire maker. Now, before we get into all that, I just want to remind you to hit like, subscribe, and share on your favorite platform so you can stay updated on the latest content while helping me spread the Awakened Man message. And for that, I just want to say I'm truly grateful. Now, let's get on with today's episode.
The average man today is sleepwalking through life, many never reaching their true potential, let alone ever crossing the finish line to living a purposeful life. Yet, the hunger still exists, albeit buried amidst his cluttered mind, misguided beliefs, and values that no longer serve him. It's time to align yourself for greatness. It's time to become a revolutionary man. Stay strong, my brother.
So how do you become a thought leader? And how does being one really impact your personal and professional life? You know, becoming a thought leader is a powerful way of creating a personal brand. And this brand is how you distinguish yourself from the crowd. And my guest today is an expert on that. So let's get right into introducing him. Today, my guest is Nicky Billou. Nicky is the #1 international best-selling author of the book, Finish Line Thinking. How to think and win like a champion, the thought leader's journey. It's a fable and the power of connecting, how to activate your profitable relationships by serving your network. And he's a highly in-demand inspirational speaker in a corporate audiences ranging all the way from RBC, Lululemon, Royal LePage, like all the big guns. He's an advisor and a confidant to some of the most successful dynamic entrepreneurs here in Canada. And he's also the co-founder of the eCircle Academy, where he runs a year-long mastermind and educational program working with coaches, consultants, corporate trainers, and clinic owners, realtors, mortgage brokers. It sounds like, Nicky, you just work with everybody. Just want to say thank you so much for being on the show today. How are things?
Alan, thanks for having me on the show, brother. It's an honor to be here. I'm blessed and grateful. I'm feeling pumped, ready to roll with this today, man.
Yeah, right on. Good to hear. Good to hear. You know, Nicky, and our men's work here at The Awakened Man, we always talk about everybody is on their own hero's quest or their hero's journey. And so my opening question for you is to tell us a little bit about your journey, specifically the challenges that you faced in your life and how you had overcome them and how that has paved the road to who you are today and the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the question very much. Well, let me tell you my backstory. So I'm originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. And when I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution happened in my home country. My late father, God rest his soul, could see the writing on the wall that this was not going to be a great place to raise his Christian family. Mm-hmm. So what he did is he made a plan, got us out of Iran, and eventually settled us in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I thank God every day for my father and his foresight, because he took us out of tyranny and into freedom. And I don't know if you've been following the news lately about what's going on in Iran, but you know that a lot of good men and women right now are fighting for their freedom. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's absolutely incredible that this is happening. And for me, it makes me so grateful for what we have here. And I know that in the West, these days, it's fashionable among certain ignorant people to say, Canada, America, so oppressive, so racist, so sexist. And I'm not trying to pretend this has been perfect over here, but this is the most tolerant, incredible, wonderful, freedom-oriented society on earth. And those who say otherwise, we need to push back hard against them and make sure that their voices are not the loudest voices, and that the voices of those who believe in the amazingness of Canada and the incredible of the West are the ones that are the loudest and the ones that are heard and heeded by the world. So that's first and foremost, right? And my dad, he was an entrepreneur, he was an uplifter of people. He was a man who, if you knew him and you were looking for a job, he'd find you a job. If you were trying to start a business, he would help you get started in business. Even if you were going to compete with him, he didn't care about that. He just wanted to help people. If you were working for him and you were looking to buy a car, a house, or an apartment, Dad would help you do that. Even if you didn't have enough money, he'd top you up.
Wow.
You might be thinking, wow, yeah, who does that? Well, the late great Nicky Billou, for one. Why? First of all, he was a Christian, and he believed very strongly he'd been blessed by God Almighty, and it was his duty as a Christian to share those blessings with others. Secondly, he did it because he could. He was already successful. I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to help people. I wanted to make a difference for people. My dad used to always say to me, son, it's not about the money, it's about the people. Life isn't about money or numbers, and business isn't about money, it's about people. That person sitting in front of you, that's someone's father, someone's brother, someone's son, someone's mother, someone's daughter, someone's wife.
Yeah.
They're a hero to somebody, and they are someone who's been disappointed by life, and maybe even disappointed by someone just like you, who promised them everything and delivered them nothing. So your job is to be that person to serves them and helps them and is kind and caring to them. That's your job as a human being. So that's why I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's why I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps. To me, entrepreneurs are society's greatest heroes.
Yeah.
These are the men and the women who have the courage to go out there and pursue their dreams. And the challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs face, Alain, is that when they're getting started, especially, they don't know much about business. They don't know about sales or marketing or hiring or firing or finances. They don't know any of that stuff. And it's very, very challenging for them. They lack the ability to turn what they've started into success, because they're good technicians, they're good tradesmen, but they're not good businessmen. And so what I saw was that, in particular, a lot of new entrepreneurs, newish entrepreneurs, struggle with sales and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
They struggled with it. And the main reason was, on the sales side, they just they didn't want to be seen as pushy or salesy. So they back away from business that legitimately they should be getting, right? And I saw this and I'm like, wow, they got a really bad attitude about selling. And, I look at selling as an act of love. So I said, what, we got to change their mindset. So let's help change their mindset from selling to serving. Now, Alain, you don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold. But we both love to buy, and we love to be served by a good human being, a caring human being. So that alone has allowed me to help so many good people double, triple, quadruple their income. Tony Robbins used to say that success in any endeavor is 80% psychology and only 20% strategy. 80% psychology, and most people's mindset is crap. So I really help them get the right mindset, the mindset of a champion, the mindset of a server, the mindset of a good, caring human being, because that gets them going in business. Now, on the marketing side, they didn't know how to stand out. I was interviewing a guy a little while ago, and he says, be different or be dead in business. Be different or be dead. And I'm like, damn, that's good.
Yeah.
You got to be different. You got to stand out. And most people, you ask them, what do you do? Oh, I'm a mortgage broker. I'm a coach. I'm a real estate agent. I help people deal with overwhelm. What? Nobody knows what that is or cares. All they care about is themselves and how you help them solve problems. If I came to you, Alain, and you said, Nicky, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm a coach. I have X certificate from X body, and we're the biggest and the best. Your eyes are going to glaze over. You're going to nod your head and go, I wish this guy would shut up, right? But if you ask me, so Nicky, what do you do? And I say to you, Alain, well, look, what I do is I work with entrepreneurs, who have been in business for at least 3 years and are making under $250,000 a year. And you know what I do for them, Alan? And you'd say, no, what? I'd say I add a 0 to 2 to their income. And I show them how to do that while working 10 to 20 hours less per week. Isn't that a lot more interesting that I'm a coach, I'm the biggest, I'm the best? You know what I mean? You're going to go, wait a minute, what? You add 1 to 2 zeros to income? So the first thought that goes through your head is, I'd like 1 to 2 zeros added to my income, right? I'd like that. I wonder if he could do that for me. And while working 10 to 20 hours less a week, shit, I'd like to work 5 hours less a week. Never mind 10 to 20 hours less a week, right? So what's going to happen when I say that to you? You're going to go, really? I'm going to go, yeah, really. I got a track record. You're going to go, really again? I'm going to go, yeah, really. And then you're going to go, how do you do that?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go, why? Do you own a business? And you're going to go, well, actually, I do. And I'm going to go, well, would you like to find out how I do that? And you're going to go, I actually would. No, let's set up a time where we can have a proper conversation. It's not an off-the-cuff discussion. And you're going to go, okay, here's my calendar. Boom, done. Guess what? If we do that, I have an opportunity to serve you.
Yes.
Other people would say, you got an opportunity to sell them. No. I have an opportunity to serve you. And if I serve you and it's appropriate and you need to be served the way I serve people, we will do business. And if not, then we won't. It's okay. But I'll have had the opportunity to serve you. And the way that I spoke to you, that's thought leadership. That's a tight, dialed in message. What is thought leadership? Thought leadership, the distinction between that and expertise. An expert is someone who knows something. A thought leader is someone who's known for knowing something. Experts are a dime a dozen. Everybody and his brother is an expert. They don't get paid very much. Thought leaders are rare and valuable. They get paid a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Another way to say it is an expert is like a cover band. A thought leader plays original music. Boop, boop, boop.
Just love that, man. It's so authentic there, man, Nicky. It is so true about what you're saying, and is that when we come across and we're not really true about who we are ourselves, then we can struggle in business. And it absolutely is our first struggle as new business owners is trying to figure out this marketing and sales side of the business. And so you've done you've obviously grown several businesses, and you've done very well with your own practices. So you talk a little bit about this charlatan marketer, and tell me a little bit about that individual and how do we avoid that person, and how do we avoid ourselves becoming that person?
How do you avoid a charlatan marketer is someone that sells the sizzle, not the steak. They don't care whether you get the results or not. They are semi-sociopathic, if not outright sociopathic. They're all in it for themselves, but they're really good at selling. They're good at getting you to buy, but delivery, not so much, right?
Yeah.
And those are the people that leave a wake of bodies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you talk to people, they don't have anything good to say about how they did business. They go, oh, they got me nothing, they didn't deliver, whatever, right? A genuine good person isn't for everybody. So you may run across people who say, well, it didn't work out, they didn't really deliver. But you'll also find a ton of people that go, wow, this person doubled my income, tripled my income, tenfolded my income, saved my relationship, helped me lose weight, whatever the heck the case may be, right? Yeah. So don't become one of those. Well, just be a good person and focus on helping the person in front of you.
Yeah.
That's how you avoid being a charlatan marketer.
Yeah.
If you're semi-sociopathic already, maybe this isn't the show for you.
Yeah, they've probably tuned out by now, so that's all good. We just want the solid folks to hanging around with us.
The good men and women, the godly men and women. That's who we want.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell me, what's the best thing that's happened to you since you started this journey and doing this work now? What has truly been the best thing that's happened for you in your life?
Brother, I think as a human being, I'm here, just like you're here, to live, to love, to grow, to learn, and to contribute.
Yeah.
So every day where I get to live, thank you, God, where I get to love, I get to grow, I get to contribute, I get to learn is a good day. And I get to do that all the time. Like today with this interview, I get to contribute. I love it. Gives me energy. You know what I mean? It's in Ontario right now, it's after 6 p.m, right? I've been up working away since 7 a.m. So, the opportunity to contribute is what keeps me energized. And I think anybody listening to this, live, love, learn, grow, contribute. Live, love, learn, grow, contribute. 3 L's.
Yeah.
And a G and a C. LLL, GC. L cube, GC. That's what you got to do. So for me, that's very, very important.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And, just to build on your other comment about, we're so lucky and grateful to live in the country that we do. And you're absolutely right. Lots of people think that we're very oppressed and, the things are changing. And the truth is that I wouldn't want to live anywhere else but here. It's just a phenomenal place. And we just need the voices to stand up and speak out. And the more that we do that, the more that we can really own our piece of this world. And so I think that's so important.
It is.
Yeah. Tell me, why is it that most people are afraid to step out of their comfort zone, and in the work that you do, how do you get them to do that and really expand who they are or they see themselves as?
Well, there's this thing called the golden handcuff zone. When you're making between $60,000 and $200,000 a year, okay, it's not, it's decent money, right? Like it's enough to pay your bills in most cases, but it's not amazing money. It's not enough to transform your life. So there's a lot of people that are stuck in this golden handcuff zone, that they're just comfortable. They're in this fur-lined and air-conditioned rut, and they don't want to do much about it, right? The way to get out of that is you got to embrace 4 qualities. You know what I mean? 4 qualities. First quality is the quality of decisiveness. So I let to decide comes from the Latin word to kill off, side, right? Regicide, homicide, suicide, patricide, matricide. All those are about killing off alternatives. So to decide is kill off alternatives, right? And successful people are decisive people. I'll tell you a little story. So Napoleon Hill, the author of the seminal book, Think and Grow Rich, the best-selling success book of all time, estimated at over 75 million copies sold, okay? Well, he started off his career as a journalist, and his boss sent him to go interview the then richest man in the world, Andrew Carnegie of U.S. Steel. And back in those days, the pace of life was a little slower, so Andrew Carnegie gave Napoleon Hill 3 hours. Today, you'd be lucky to get 30 minutes with the richest man in the world, right? And anyways, the two of them really hit it off, and near the end of their time together, Carnegie went to Hill and said, "Mr. Hill, how would you like to spend the weekend at my estate?" Now, Alan, I don't know about you, but the richest man in the world today, that's Elon Musk. If he said to me, "Mr. Billou, how would you like to spend the weekend at my estate?" Now, I know he doesn't have an estate because he sold off all his property, but are you freaking kidding me? The answer is an automatic, immediate yes, right?
Yeah.
So Mr. Hill said yes, and they spent the weekend at Mr. Carnegie's estate, and they had a transformational conversation. And near the end of that conversation, Napoleon Hill just was mesmerized by Andrew Carnegie. And then Andrew Carnegie said to him, "Mr. Hill, I have a proposition for you. I would like to spend the next 20 years researching and writing about my philosophy of success and publishing it in the form of books. I will not pay you a stipend, but I will make myself available to answer your questions. And I will give you letters of introduction to the 500 most successful men and women in the United States." Napoleon Hill took 31 seconds to say yes, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
He wrote many books, but Think and Grow Rich was the most famous of them.
Yeah.
And the world has never been the same because of that. Now, many years later, the two men met one last time before the great man passed. And they were reminiscing about how they first met. And what Mr. Hill had created due to the inspiration of Mr. Carnegie. And Mr. Carnegie said to him, Mr. Hill, I had a watch with a second hand under the table when I made that offer to you. And I was only giving you 60 seconds to make up your mind. And if you hadn't, I was going to withdraw the offer. What? Thank God I made up my mind in 31 seconds. But he said, but why? He said, Mr. Hill, you've been studying and writing about my philosophy of success. You know the answer. Why? And he said, he said, okay. The reason is because successful people decide quickly. He said, that's right, Mr. Hill. Successful people gather all the facts, and then they go to yes or no immediately. They don't think about it. They don't ask if they could have time to get back to you, to have a seance with their dead ancestors, right? They don't do any of that. They gather the facts and they say yes or they say no. And then Carnegie said to him, before I approached you, I had spoken to 4 of the most eminent educators in these United States. And I'd made them the same offer. They all said they needed to think about it. And they'd get back to me. 2 of them did. And they said no. And 2 of them never did. And I knew they were the wrong people. They never would understand my philosophy of success. You got to be decisive. You can't be one of these people that goes, I got to think about it. Let me think, whatever. No. I'm in. I want to do business. I'm ready to roll. That's how it is. You also got to be committed. You can't be in it just for a period of time. I'm going to try it out. Just try it out.
Yeah.
I'm in it to win it. Then you got to be coachable, and you need to have coaches and mentors. You need to take their coaching.
Yeah.
Right. The biggest mistake people make is they try to do it alone, or they hire coaches and they don't listen to them. And then finally, you got to be resourceful.
Yeah.
You got to be resourceful. I'll tell you my own story. A little over 10 years ago, I was going through a divorce. I was completely blindsided when my wife said she didn't want to be married to me anymore. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but I was. And I slowly spiraled. I had to go sleep on my mother's couch. I pretty much had my business tanking. I hadn't made money in months. I went to a business conference, put on my best suit, shaved. This is my Movember beard. The mustache is permanent, but the beard's a Movember beard. And here's what happened. Here's what happened. I had someone, my sweetheart just walked in the office and I said, no, I'm doing an interview. And they just gave it a look. So there was this man who delivered a talk there. And it really resonated with me right here. When the talk was over, I walked up to him. I introduced myself. I started to tell him my story. And within a few minutes, I said, I think I need to hire you. He looked at me and said, okay. What you need to know is my lowest fee is $5,000. I get paid upfront and in full. I offer no refunds and no guarantees. Wow. I said, oh, I can't come up with that. I don't have that money. And he said, I know you don't. Said, I'm going to give you some free coaching. I said, free coaching, I love it. Free coaching, give it to me. And he said, it doesn't matter how much money you have. And I'm like, doesn't? Because I thought that was all that mattered. And he said, no. What matters is, how bad do you want change? How bad do you want change? You've been sleeping on your mother's couch. You have not made any money in months. And your wife left you. And you don't even really understand why. how much longer are you okay to be stuck in this situation? And I just blinked my eyes a few dozen times, and I was mad as hell. But he was right. Said, give me a couple days. At the time, I was a personal fitness trainer. And I'd been in conversation with a few people about working with them, but they had not made up their minds. And so I said, look, I called them up with a lot of urgency. And here's my pitch. I said, hey, I got good news for you. You're fat and you need to lose weight, and I'm broke and I need money. So I'm going to give you the deal of a century, half price. But here's the catch. You got to say yes now, and you got to pay me in full now. What's it going to be? And a couple of them said, yeah, here's $1,000, which was half price. So I went over to see this man. I had an appointment I'd already set with him. And I plopped down $2,000, feeling very pleased with myself. And he said, I said 5, not 2. And I went, and I said, okay, Bill, stainless Bill, how many people have you told this story to that you told me the other day? And he said, over the years, 30, maybe 40. I'm like, okay. Besides me, who else came to you with any money? And he said, oh, you're the first. And I said, all right, take my money. I'm going to sign a contract that I'll pay you the rest in 30, 60 days, whatever the case may be. And we'll work together. And he said, okay. And the rest is history. Within 6 months, I made $100,000. And I was resourceful. Didn't matter what resources I had. What mattered was how resourceful I was. You want to get out of your comfort zone, be decisive, committed, coachable, resourceful. You'll win.
Absolutely. What a powerful story there, Nicky. You know, and the whole takeaway for me on that is about the mental resilience, and not just the resourcefulness, but being able to step out of that comfort zone and understand that you needed to take responsibility for where you were and who you were at the time in order to get to where you wanted to go. And I think so many of us struggle in that, and we get stuck in our own little stories and that rat race, and we can't break out of it, which is why our businesses struggle, why most of them fail within the first 2 to 5 years, and why we don't get the chance to flourish. And I think that's why your work, you know, not just in your men's work that you're doing, but also in this here about helping people really understand what it means to be a thought leader is so needed, you know. And so tell us a little bit more about and get a sense of how it is that we can create this compelling personal brand through being a thought leader, and how do we really mold and shape that?
Well, like I said, you got to be a people-focused person, because business is about solving problems for people for profit, solving acute problems for wonderful people for awesome profit. That's what business is. Mm-hmm. Pure and simple. I call it Nicky Billou's 7-figure 3P solution, right? You've got to have a mindset of serving.
Yeah.
You've got to have a tight, dialed-in message, like I told you before. Mm-hmm. I can't overstate the importance of that. I had a client. He was a young man who was also a personal fitness trainer when I met him. And he came to me because he was a good man, but he was a terrible businessman. He had like 7 clients. He was making $1,200 a month in Toronto. Toronto's an expensive city. That's not going to cut it, right? So when he came to me, I said, okay, his name was Dan. I said, Danny, who do you help? He said, well, Nicky, you know, I'm a personal fitness trainer. I can help anybody with anything. I can help them lose weight. I can help them get fit. I can help them win contests. I can do anything for anybody. And I go, no, Dan, that doesn't work. You got to narrow your focus. And he's like, no, but buddy, you don't understand. I really can help anybody. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a long night. Anybody with a wallet, a pulse, Danny? And he goes, funny, good one. Yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, no, narrow your focus. And he said, okay. My dad's a doctor. I love my dad. Doctors make a lot of money. Doctors. I'm like, that's your message? I love my dad. Doctors make a lot of money. That's not going to fly. He didn't care. He wanted to run with it. And it didn't fly. Said, Danny, we got to change this. He goes, okay. I got it. Cardiologist, narrower focus, more money than doctors. I'm like, oh my God. Your message is you make more money than doctors. He tried it, didn't work. All of a sudden, serendipity struck. Dan met a Paralympian athlete. This fella had a missing leg from childhood. They hit it off. Workouts were great. A lot of good things happened there. And Dan came to me after this guy went to a competition, won a couple medals, and said, Nicky, I think I get it now. I've been going after the money, haven't I? I go, yeah, you have. He said, but working with this fellow, his name was Pap. He said, Pappy over here, that fed my soul. Yeah. I'd like to go help people with missing limbs. I think I can really help them. I'm like, that's a great idea, Danny. In 6 weeks, Danny signed up 400 clients. 400 clients. He added not 1 zero, but 2 zeros to his monthly income from 1,200 to over 100,000. Alan, how did that happen? Well, the answer is very simple. That happened because Dan stopped focusing on the money, started focusing on the people. We're going full circle back to what my dad said.
Yeah.
And it happened because no other trainer thought people with missing limbs were good prospects because they didn't have limbs. Danny knew better. His message wasn't just, let's work out. His message was, you are just as good and capable as anybody else, and I'm going to prove it to you. You understand why that message would land well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful, just beautiful. And then such a powerful story to really point out that how to figure out how to be that thought leader in a niche where there's lots of competition, and recognizing, the true essence of what it is that you're trying to accomplish and get done in life. And chasing the money has never been the way to go. And I think that is just such an inspiring story. Nicky, of everything that we talked about today, and maybe there's something that we haven't got a chance to speak about, what would be one thing you'd want our listeners to take away from our conversation today?
I want your listeners to know that I know things are tough, that I know the last 2 and 3 quarters of a year with lockdowns and all that has not been easy. I know there's inflation out there, and I know that a lot of people are scared and uncertain. Mm-hmm. And they're wondering if they can survive, never mind thrive. And here's what I want to leave them with. You can thrive. This can be the greatest time of your life. You need to believe that. And if you don't have that belief right now, borrow my belief in you and your greatness. You deserve to be one of 1 billion millionaires. And my vision is there's going to be 1 billion millionaires on this planet. And we're going to have this movement of 1 billion millionaires out there, brother. That's my vision. That's what it's all about. You feel me, man? That's what I want folks to be all about.
Love it. Just love it. I just want to say thanks a lot, Nicky, for spending time with me today. And we shed some insights and some light on what it takes for us to be thought leaders in any line of business and anything that we look to aspire to. As long as we have going into the right mindset of service first, that we can really become that one out of the 1 billion millionaires here. And so if someone wanted to get involved with your work and your programs, how would they go about doing that?
Well, for my business programs, my best website is ecircleacademy.com. There's a whole bunch of resources there, and they can click on a button that'll take them to my podcast website as well. And my podcast is called The Thought Leader Revolution. And if they're a business owner and what they want to do is scale and they're stuck, I recommend they jump on something I do called a success call. It's a powerful strategy call where we'll take a look at where your business is, where you want to take it to, and build a blueprint to get you there. And I offer that on a complimentary basis. I do have a screening tool. So if someone goes into ecircleacademy.com/appointment, they got to fill out a form just to make sure you're a serious businessman, a business person. And if you are, great, then we'll do it. And if you're a man and you're looking to find out about the work we do with men, sovereignman.ca is our website. There's a few podcast episodes there. Check it out.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to make sure all that information's in the show notes so people can get a chance to get out and reach out to you, whether that's on the business side of life or there's men out there that are needing some help. And I know you're doing some great work in both of those fields. So thank you once again, Nicky, for being on the show.
Alan, thanks for having me on the show. It was an honor, brother. Truly, truly. God bless you, man.
Thank you for listening to the Revolutionary Man Podcast. Are you ready to own your destiny? To become more the man you are destined to be? Join the brotherhood that is The Awakened Man at theawakenedman.net and start forging a new destiny today.